He's in charge. He's in charge of it all. He has total control over everything. So how do we explain the tsunami in Japan a couple of years ago? You know who the proudest people on earth are? Not us, we're just arrogant. Japanese. The Japanese. They are so proud of their accomplishments. They are so proud of, they were so proud of their atomic power plant. They were so proud of the technology they put in it. They absolutely did not think that anything could touch that achievement of theirs. That atomic power plant had level after level after level of security. And God, on one day, in 15 minutes, showed them how their power and their accomplishment compared to his power and his ability. He brought that thing to the ground in one whoosh. Now, what's that make you, if that's true, how does that affect your perspective of God?
Don't make him mad. Don't make him mad.
Don't make you mad. Yeah. There's several 100,000 Philistines found out that's not a good idea. But the Japanese had just ignored them. Had just ignored him. Okay? The Japanese have always been tolerant to Christianity. They have never persecuted Christians on Japanese soil. Now, they've always been more or less Shintos or Buddhists, but they've never, ever tried to infringe upon anybody else's right to believe how they wish to believe. And God has honored that and prospered them. Remember 2 or 3 weeks ago we talked about starvation and Christian tolerant nations and how nations that will at least tolerate Christianity do not have a starvation problem. Well, Japan has been very, very, very prosperous, and they've been very, very blessed by God because they have tolerated Christianity. But the Bible says to whom much is given, much is required. So they have been exposed to Christianity for decades, for centuries. But they have pretty much ignored God. They pretty much said, look at our buildings, look at our accomplishments, look at our power plant. And God said, don't ignore me. And he showed them his power. Somebody should have taken advantage of that and said, God's talking to you, God's speaking to you. Whether they did or not, I don't know. But somebody should have. Remember the tsunami before that? And it hit Western Asia and that shoreline all across there. There was a village. Did I tell you about the village that was basically Muslim? That happened on Christmas Eve. And a couple of days before Christmas Eve, the Muslims were in control of this village. And the Muslims told the Christians, you cannot celebrate Christmas in the village. You have to get out of the village to celebrate Christianity, or to celebrate Christmas. So the Christians said, okay, no problem, we'll go. And they went up on the mountain, and they had their Christmas service, and they exchanged their gifts, and they did whatever they did. And while they were doing that, the tsunami hit and took over half the lives in the village. And then when the Christians heard about it, they came rushing down the mountain, and they started helping the sick and the broken, and they started helping with the cleanup, and they started comforting people who were sick and Muslims of the village came and apologized to them and asked them to pray to their God, not to punish them anymore. And today, that village is Christian. Now, God has his purposes, and he knows what he's doing. And we look at that and we say, where was God? God was doing the exact right thing. And he brought good from it in the end. And now the village is Christian and not Muslim, and the future children that are born there will be born into Christian homes. And it will have decades and centuries of impact. And God used it to bring about his purposes. He told that tsunami exactly what to do, exactly how to do it. He was in total charge of it. We tend to think sometimes that God's not looking. But God is in charge and in control of every single thing on this earth. And whether we understand it or not, he does it for the right reasons. Okay? I guess we better quit. So we'll do 12 through 15 next week. And when you read 12 through 15, I want you to think about the words light enables. Light enables. Light makes it possible. Okay. Now think about those two words and then read it and try to come up with an answer for why I gave you those two words.